Hey there, folks. Welcome to Life Wisdom, your steady pal for these golden years, like that neighbor who swings by with a hot cup of coffee to chew over what really counts in life. You know, a while back, I started noticing my dad skipping breakfast more often. He'd sit at the table, poke at his toast, and just wave it off with a shrug. "Not hungry today," he'd say. I figured it was nothing, just him slowing down a bit. But looking back now, it got me thinking, what if there's more to it? That's why today, we're diving into something that hits close to home. 7 signs an elderly person may be in their final year. Hidden alarms you can't afford to miss. Those little shifts we see, maybe they're wobbling more on the porch steps, or their chatter's gone quiet over supper, they sneak up on us. Over half of us past 70 brush these off as just part of getting older. I've done it too. But here's the wake-up call. Mayo Clinic says 1 in 3 folks miss these quiet clues that could mean a year or less left. These aren't loud sirens. They're whispers science has tracked down, from Harvard to the NIA, showing us the body's way of tipping us off. We're unpacking 7 of these hidden alarms today, not to rattle you, but to put you in the driver's seat so you can care smarter, hold tighter, and make every moment with them stick like glue. So stick with us till the end. There's real gold here you'll wish you'd known sooner. Trust me on that. If Life Wisdom feels like your kind of crew, hit that subscribe button and join the gang. We're tougher than the toughest days, and we're in this together, swapping stories and know-how for the road ahead. Ready? Let's roll into it. All right, friends, let's kick things off with sign 1, significant weight loss. You know how it starts. Maybe you've seen their pants sagging a bit, or they're tugging at a shirt that used to fit just right. It's not loud. It creeps in slow, easy to miss if you're not looking. A couple of summers back, I noticed my mom's jeans hanging looser around her hips. No big diet, no marathon walks, just her going about her days. She'd sit down for supper, pick at her plate, and say, "I'm just not that hungry tonight." I figured it was nothing, maybe the heat, but it didn't stop there. Week by week, those little changes stacked up, and I started wondering what was really going on. Ever catch that with someone you love? Their belt needs an extra notch, or they're skipping seconds when they used to dig in? It's tempting to chalk it up to age. Lots of us do. But here's where it gets real. This isn't just a picky phase. It's one of the earliest alarms the body trips when it's winding down. Harvard's got the numbers. Over 1 in 5 folks past 70 drop pounds fast without trying, and it's not always harmless. Could be something quiet like cancer or heart failure sneaking in. The National Institute on Aging says digestion can slow by 25%, meaning nutrients slip right through and muscles start wasting away. Taste buds fade too. Food loses its zip, so they skip meals, maybe nibble less pie or pass on the roast. Pretty soon, they're running on fumes, less energy, weaker all over. But it's not just about looks. This is the body waving a flag. Mayo Clinic flags it too. When weight drops quick, strength fades, falls spike, and infections creep in easier. Over 30% of those over 70 see this spiral start a year out. Fun fact, your gut's like a fuel pump. When it sputters, the whole engine stalls. So what do? Don't push big plates. That flops. Try soft stuff they like. Mash a banana with honey. Scoop a spoonful of peanut butter. Keep it simple. Sip water all day. Set a cup by their chair, maybe 8 ounces every couple hours. Next time you're with the doc, mention it. A quick blood test can spot if it's more than age. Feeling this now? Grab something small to nibble. Keep that tank topped off. This is about catching it early. You're tougher than a fading scale, and we're just getting started. So, we've just peeled back that quiet weight loss, all those baggy shirts and skipped bites. But now, let's shift gears to something that hits even harder. Sign 2, extreme fatigue and weakness. Picture this. They're barely up before they're ready to sit back down, like the day's already run them ragged. I saw it with a neighbor once. He'd shuffle out to grab the mail, not even 20 feet, and flop back in his chair like he'd hauled a load of firewood. Ever catch someone you love looking like they're carrying the world, just across the room? Here's a little nudge. Stand up slow right now and feel it. Does it drag you down like you're lugging a sack of spuds after a couple steps? That's the kind of tired we're talking about. Not a quick yawn you shake off with coffee, but a deep, stubborn weight that clings tight. Don't just nod and let it slide. Test this next time they move. Watch them head to the kitchen. Are they stopping short, gripping the counter, or sinking into a chair like the wind's gone out of their sails? This isn't about loafing around. It's a hidden alarm blaring loud if you listen close. Mayo Clinic's tracked it. Over 50% of folks past 70 slam into this wall when organs start dialing back. The heart pumps 30% weaker, oxygen dips 20%, says Cleveland Clinic. Think of it like a car on its last fumes. It coughs, can't kick into gear, and every turn's a grind. Metabolism's in on it too. Energy that used to power a good stroll now dribbles out just to keep the basics humming. And here's the real punch. It's not just their body. That exhaustion seeps into their soul. They might skip the porch talk, nod off mid-show, or pass on shuffling cards they once loved, not because they're done caring, but because they're plain tapped out. AARP pegs it. Over half lose that spark a year out. So what's our play? Don't nudge them to snap out of it. That's a bust. Let them nap 20 minutes around noon. Set a timer, keeps it crisp. Tuck them in by 8 p.m. with a warm blanket ready, maybe near their cozy spot. Next doc visit, flag it. A heart check or blood test might pin the leak. Feel that drag now? Stretch those legs slow for a minute. Shake it loose. You're tougher than this fade. Let's keep them comfy and roll on. Now that we've felt that heavy fatigue pulling them down, like they're running on empty, let's turn our eyes to something quieter, but just as telling. Sign 3. Increased cognitive confusion or withdrawal. You've probably seen it sneak in. They're mid-sentence and the words just vanish, or they're staring off like the room's gone blank. It's not the usual, where'd I put my keys, forgetfulness. It's deeper, fuzzier. Down my street, there's a lady who used to call out every kid's name at the block party, sharp as a tack. But lately, she's mixing up faces, sitting quiet with a look that says she's lost in the fog. Ever spot that drift in someone close? A name slips, a story stalls, and they're not quite there? It's not just a bad day. It's a shift you can't miss if you watch close. Maybe they're repeating the same question. What time is it? 3 times in 10 minutes. Or they're fumbling in the kitchen they've cooked in for decades, unsure where the spoons hide. Then there's the pulling back. Less chatter over coffee, no more flipping through the paper. Just long stretches of silence staring out the window. I've seen it at family dinners too. Folks who'd argue over politics now just nod and fade out. This isn't them being grumpy. It's a hidden alarm ringing soft but steady. WebMD lays it out. When blood flow to the brain dips, down 20% or more, says Cleveland Clinic, things get hazy fast. Over 1 in 6 past 70 start fading like this a year out, per the NIA. Not just age, but the mind winding down. Stress or poor sleep can crank it up too, like static on an old radio, cutting the signal. Here's the twist. They might still have bright moments, then blank out quick like a light flickering. That's the brain hanging on by a thread. So, how do we step in? Don't quiz them to snap them back. That flops. Play a soft tune from their old days. Think Sinatra or Elvis. Let it hum low for 10 minutes. Sit close, keep it simple. Maybe ask, coffee today? Once. No rush. Next doc visit, mention those foggy spells. A quick brain check or blood test might spot the glitch. Feeling that haze now? Take a slow, deep breath. In for 4, out for 6, clear your own head. You're tougher than this drift. Let's keep them anchored where they're at. Since we've been piecing together that foggy drift in their minds, those blank stares and lost words, let's shift to a sign that shows up loud on the outside. Sign 4, frequent infections and slow healing. Picture old Dr. Jones, that gray-haired doc with a voice like he's chewed gravel all his life, leaning over his desk squinting at you. Folks, he'd growl, if they're catching every bug that floats by or a scratch won't quit bleeding, don't you dare call it bad luck. That's their body hollering for help. I've seen it down the block. A friend's cough turned into pneumonia twice last winter, and a little nick on her hand just sat there, red and raw, way too long. Ever notice those colds sticking around like uninvited guests, or a bruise that lingers like it's taken up residence? Dr. Jones'd slap his chart and say, immune system's packing up. Seen it too many times. It's not random. It's a blaring alarm when the body's defenses start crumbling. You might spot them with a runny nose one week, a sore throat the next, then something nastier like a urinary tract infection that won't budge. Even a tiny cut festers instead of fading. The World Health Organization's got the tally. 1 in 4 folks over 70 face repeat infections a year out. Pneumonia, UTIs, skin bugs, because their immune shield's down 30%, Mayo Clinic adds. Healing slows too. Blood flow drops 25% per Cleveland Clinic, so scratches don't knit up like they used to. Fun fact, your skin's like a fortress wall. When it cracks, the invaders storm right in. And here's the sneaky part, they might not even run a fever. They just get quieter, tireder, a bit more lost, and that's the infection talking soft. So what's the fix? Dr. Jones to grunt. Don't wait for it to fix itself, it won't. Wipe their hands with a warm cloth twice a day. Keeps the germs at bay without fuss. Set a humidifier in their room. 10 minutes before bed clears the air. Dab sores with a bit of honey. Sounds old school, but it fights bugs natural. Next doc visit, spill it. Those stubborn colds might need a quick test to catch the root. Feeling a tickle now? Sip some water, keep it flowing. You're tougher than these invaders. Let's shore up their walls and press on. With all those pesky infections piling up, colds and cuts that won't let go, it's time to listen closer to something even more telling. Sign 5. Major changes in breathing or circulation. You've likely heard it. A breath that's gone soft, shallow, like a whisper you strain to catch, or hands that feel cold as ice even under a blanket. In our family, it was my grandma who tipped us off. Last Thanksgiving, she'd huff just sitting up to carve the turkey, and her fingers felt like they'd been dipped in a snowbank. Ever notice that shift? They're winded from a short shuffle, or their toes turn pale when the room's plenty warm. It's not just a chill or a tired day, it's the kind of change that echoes through the house if you pay attention. Maybe they're breathing quick 1 minute, slow the next, or pausing like the air's playing hide and seek. My cousins thought she was joking around until it kept happening at supper. Then, there's the cold creeping in. Hands, feet, even the tip of their nose, turning bluish or mottled like a winter sky. This isn't a fluke, it's a hidden alarm flashing red. The National Institute on Aging's got it pegged. Over 1 in 3 folks past 70 hit this shift a year out. The heart cuts blood flow to the edges by 25% per Harvard, saving it for the core. Cleveland Clinic adds, lungs can weaken 20%, making every step a huff and puff affair. Ever hear that Cheyne-Stokes rhythm? Fast, then a long pause? That's the body dialing down, quiet but clear. And it's not just noise, it's their comfort on the line. They might cough wet, struggle lying flat, or need to prop up just to catch a breath. So here's how we help. Don't wait for it to pass. Stack a couple pillows under their head. Keeps the air flowing easy. 10 minutes to adjust. Crack a window for a breeze. Freshens the room without a chill. Sip warm tea slow. Half a cup soothes the chest. Next doc visit, spill it. Those shallow breaths might need a lung check or oxygen tweak. Feeling short now? Lean back, let that air settle in for a beat. Steady yourself. You're tougher than this whisper. Let's keep them breathing easy and carry on. After tuning in to those shaky breaths and cold hands, signs their insides are slowing, let's pivot to a creak that's tough to miss. Sign 6. Joint pain that locks up. You've heard it, haven't you? That groan when they stand, like an old barn door swinging stiff in the wind? Or maybe they wince getting out of the recliner, knees or hips refusing to budge smooth. It's not just a twinge. It's a lock-up that stops them cold. Around our neighborhood, folks at the bingo hall used to hop up for a win. Now they're easing up slow, hands braced on the table, faces tight with every step. Ever see that stiffness set in, where a short walk feels like trudging through mud? This isn't the usual ache you shake off with a stretch, it's a deeper grind. A hidden alarm creaking loud if you listen. Picture those joints like rusty hinges. They've carried a lifetime, and now they're seizing up fast. AARP's got the numbers. Over 50% of us past 70 wrestle with arthritis. Cartilage wears down to nubs, bones scrape like sandpaper, says Mayo Clinic. Muscles fade too, down 20% in strength per NIA, so there's less cushion to keep things loose. Could be old falls or extra pounds piling on over years, but when the body's winding down, this stiffness hits hard and quick. Cleveland Clinic flags it. A year out, over 1 in 3 feel joints freeze up worse. Walking's a chore, sitting's no picnic either. Fun fact, your knees carry triple your weight every step. When they lock, it's like lugging a fridge uphill. So let's ease that ache, not just talk it, but feel it. Settle in, now. Sit comfy, feet flat, shoulders loose. Breathe in slow for 4 counts, fill your chest like a warm breeze. Breathe out for 6, let it roll out steady, soft as a sigh. Picture warm waves washing over your knees, hips, melting that stiffness like butter on a hot day. If your mind drifts, no sweat, just float back gentle. Try this for 5 minutes tonight. Start small, no rush, let it sink in. It's not about fixing, it's about calm. Beyond that, drape a warm towel over the sore spot. 10 minutes after supper works wonders. Stretch slow each morning, bend one knee 5 minutes, easy does it. Rub with a dab of oil, keeps it slick. Next doc visit, bring it up, those creaks might need a quick x-ray or a pain tweak. Feeling stiff now? Roll your shoulders slow, loosen that grip. You're tougher than this rust, let's keep them moving gentle and glide on. Now that we've loosened up those stiff joints, easing that creak with a bit of calm, let's wander into something softer, sadder, but just as real. Sign 7, loss of interest in daily joys. You felt it shift. The garden's gone quiet, weeds creeping where flowers once bloomed, or the TV sits dark when it used to hum with their favorite reruns. It's not loud, it's a fade, like dusk settling too soon. I saw it with a friend down the road. Her porch swing used to sway every afternoon, radio crackling with tunes, but last month it just sat still. Her staring out with a look that said the music's gone. Ever notice those little pleasures slip away? No more baking pies, no spark for the Sunday paper? This isn't just a mood swing you nudge away. It's simpler, heavier, a hidden alarm whispering low. They might pass on a card game with the grandkids, skip the chatter over coffee, or let the bird feeder hang empty. Not because they're mad, but because the joy's dialed down. It's like the world's gone gray, and they're too tired to paint it back. The National Institute on Aging's tracked it. About 30% of folks over 70 drift this way a year out. The brain dims pleasure signals by 25%, says WebMD, as it pulls back from the bustle. Could be tied to that fatigue we talked about, or the mind fogging up. Mayo Clinic notes half of those fading feel this too, like a switch flipping off slow. Fun fact, your brain's reward spark, that little buzz from a good laugh, can shrink 20% when the body's winding down. But here's the heart of it, they're still in there, even if the lights dim. So don't push big cheer, that misses the mark. Bring a single daisy from the yard, set it by their chair, no fuss, just a touch of color. Share a short memory, remember that picnic by the lake? Keep it light, 5 minutes tops. Sit quiet with them, no need to fill the air, just be there, steady. Next doc visit, mention this fade, a quick chat might spot if it's mood or more, maybe tweak a med. Feeling that stillness now? Take a slow sip of water. Let it settle soft. You're tougher than this hush. Let's keep their days flickering with those small joys. Well, folks, we've walked a long road together. From those baggy shirts of weight slipping away, to the heavy drag of fatigue, minds drifting into fog, infections that won't quit, breaths turning to whispers, joints creaking stiff, and joys fading like dusk over the porch. These 7 signs, they're not just dots on a list. They're whispers we've heard, maybe even felt close to home. I've watched a few myself, that quiet stare over coffee, a hand too cold under a quilt, and they don't shout to scare us. They nudge us awake, straight from the lives we're living, to care smarter, hug tighter, and keep those moments glowing warm. You're tougher than the toughest storm these bring, and catching just one can light up more mornings with a steady step, a clearer chat, or a night that settles soft and easy. Here at Life Wisdom, we're right beside you, cheering for those brighter days ahead. Not with big promises, but with real, steady know-how from folks who've been there. So, what's sticking with you today? Was it that wobbly shuffle across the kitchen? Or a pie recipe left unbaked? Drop it down below. We'd love to hear what caught your eye. Maybe a story from your own road. Your thoughts mean the world to us. They keep this crew going strong. If Life Wisdoms felt like a trusty pal through all this, give us a thumbs up or hit subscribe. We're in this together, swapping tales and tips for these golden years. Here's to stronger days, sharper senses, and peace that wraps around like a warm blanket. You've got this, and we'll catch you next time with more to share. Take care, friends.